Is Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava under the most pressure of any player in college football next season? If it's not number one, he's certainly in the top five. I'll tell you some others here on a Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. It's a new week, and you're starting it right here on Locked On Vols. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm your host, Jerry Cain. Big shout out to LinkedIn Jobs for making this show possible today. You can post your job for free over at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions do apply. We have got a busy show to get into here today. Players and coaches who are under the most pressure in 2024, and why I think Nico Iamaleava is at the top of that list. That's coming up here in a matter of moments. Tennessee wallops Vanderbilt on the hardwood and is considered a number 2 seed in the NCAA projections right now, according to that said committee. That's coming up in segment 2. And then I'm going to talk a little baseball in segment 3 because, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I am on the road this weekend. This is from my Airbnb in Dallas, Texas. It is cold here. I didn't think it was going to be warm, but I did not think it was going to be this cold. And so I am freezing in Dallas, Texas this weekend, and hopefully be making my way back to Knoxville around Monday evening. So without further ado, do thank you guys for being here. You shout out everydayers for making this show possible, for watching, downloading, listening for free wherever you get your podcast. So ESPN put out a story over the weekend, and it was, who's got the most to prove in 2024, and they kind of broke it down amongst coaches, and they broke it down into players. And under the list of players who had the most to prove in 2024, the third one listed is Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, and he comes in behind. It's not necessarily like ranked 1, 2. It's just the first quarterback listed here is Tyler Van Dyke of Wisconsin. The second quarterback listed here is Cade Klubnik of Clemson. And then coming in at number 3, or the third one listed, is Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. This is what ESPN has to say about Nico entering the 2024 season. The good news for Iamaleava is that he certainly appears to have all the tools to be a difference maker at the quarterback position, as he accounted for 4 touchdowns in his first start last season in Tennessee's 35-0 victory over Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. But from the time Iamaleava signed with the Vols, he's been under the bright spotlight. From the reported $8 million NIL deal he signed to being hailed as the quarterback that would vault the Vols back into the championship contention, to be at the center of the recent NCAA investigation into Tennessee's program. No player since Peyton Manning has walked onto Tennessee's campus with as much pressure to perform at an elite level. That is from Chris Lowe, of course, who is very familiar with the Tennessee beat. We used to be on the Tennessee beat and worked a long time in this area covering Tennessee specifically. I would wholeheartedly agree with that last sentence. No player since Peyton Manning has walked onto Tennessee's campus and been under more pressure to perform. Peyton Manning, of course, the son of Archie Manning, former college football great, former NFL great, leaving his... Now, granted, didn't go to Ole Miss like Eli did, but going against not his father's wishes, but maybe a lot of fans of Ole Miss and their wishes, and going and doing his own thing at Tennessee. But still, he carried the persona. He carried the name that was Manning. Now, Iamaleava does not carry that name, but Iamaleava carries the weight of that last name, which is a mouthful. He carries the weight of being the number 1 overall player in the class of 2023 per the On3 rankings. He carries the weight of being a 5-star player. He carries the weight of being a quarterback. And just like the little blurb here says, he carries the weight of being kind of the poster boy for the first massive name, image, and likeness deal, reportedly, right? And there's no secret here. He is at the center of the current NCAA investigation. Now, as we've talked on this show for weeks upon weeks, in the grand scheme of things, don't think that's going to be a big deal, because the NCAA will not win in court. Even if the NCAA wins the injunction here, as we await last Tuesday's hearing in Greenville, Tennessee, you might win the battle. You're not going to win the war if you're the NCAA. But I would 100% agree that Nico is probably, in my opinion, under the most pressure of any player in college football next season. And the other names that were mentioned, I agree. Like Cade Klubnik, this is going on year 3 for him, right? I mean, he came in as the guy that was going to contend for a starting job with DJ Young, whatever his name is, and he's already been to 2 other stops since leaving Clemson. Gosh, college football is drunk. And really underperformed this season as a first time as a true number 1 starter at the cornerback position. So Cade Klubnik at Clemson, which had a dynasty a couple years ago under a lot of pressure. I would agree with that. Tyler Van Dyke was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country as a freshman a couple years ago. Where's that gone? He was not good in 2023, now going to Wisconsin, and we'll see what he can do. But those guys don't carry the weight and the name of Nico Iamaleava. Another one mentioned here is Dillion Gabriel. Of course, Dillion Gabriel at UCF. Then he went to Oklahoma. Now one of the premier quarterbacks on the transfer portal market. He picks Oregon, and Oregon trying to contend for a college football playoff once again needs a quarterback as it's its first season in the Big Ten, and Dillion Gabriel is going to be that guy. So sure, he's under pressure for sure, and he's a good player, but I don't think it's comparable to Nico. Harold Perkins Jr. is mentioned here as an outside linebacker for LSU. Harold Perkins Jr. is a really, really good player. In fact, he's one of the best players in the country. He had a great freshman campaign a couple years ago, 13.5 TFL, 7.5 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. But as a sophomore, let's see here. He was dominant in 2022. He wasn't as dominant in 2023, obviously. So he's wanting to be a bounce back and obviously trying to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft for the NFL draft in 2024. So I understand. Harold Perkins has got some, he's got some he's got some pressure to him, no doubt. But he's not a quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier, I think, would be more in this conversation because why? Well, he's replacing Jaden Daniels, who just won the Heisman Trophy. Again, they break it on down here into which transfer has the most to prove in 2024. Well, Dillion Gabriel's a transfer, so I'm not really sure why he's not in this conversation. But they put Ohio State Will Howard. Sure. Walter Nolen, a name that we're very familiar with at Notre Dame, at Ole Miss now. He's got a whole lot to prove. I would agree with that. Riley Leonard going from Duke to Notre Dame would agree with that. DJ Young, who goes from Oregon State, formerly of Clemson, now to Florida State. I would agree. He's got a lot to prove as well. Cam Ward now going to Miami to take the place of Tyler Van Dyke. All these players, I would agree with, have something to prove. But none of them are going to be under as much pressure, in my opinion, and are going to be hungrier to prove the naysayers or to prove the doubters wrong than Nico Iamaleava. Again, number 1 overall player in the country, 5-star quarterback, NIL. Check box here, check box here, check box here, check box here. It all fits. And so, for Tennessee to be good, Nico's got to be good. But he's going to be under pressure for sure. How he deals with adversity, how he navigates the waters of being a starting quarterback in the Southeastern Conference, how he responds after throwing an interception, making a wrong read, fumbling the football. I got news for you. It's football. That's going to happen. But how does he respond in those moments? And does he come back and does he make a wow play? And does he make more consistent wow plays or more consistent smart plays of protecting the football than turning the football over? That's what we're going to be looking out for Nico. So I like this story. I thought there's a lot of good points here. They also go on here at ESPN.com. Which coach has the most to prove? A couple listed here. It's Kallen Deboer at Alabama, obviously. James Franklin at Penn State is always on this list. Mack Brown of Carolina after they took a step back. Billy Napier of Florida, of course he's got the most to prove because he's on the hot seat this year. Lincoln Riley at Southern Cal, for sure, with that salary and what you did with the reigning Heisman Trophy winning quarterback this past season at USC, for sure he should be on this list. And Ryan Day, because he can't beat Michigan anymore. Really good stuff over here at ESPN.com. Go read it and check it all out. But a name that was mentioned under the category of players with the most to prove in 2024, Nico Iamaleava. I think he has the most to prove than anybody in the country. And I'm excited to see how he kind of navigates that. And I'm excited to see how he deals with all that this season here at Tennessee. want to tell you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. It's got a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals. Yeah, billion with a B, which makes it the best place to find a hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have this many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, and you can as well. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, everybody, welcome back into your Monday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you for being here on the road here in Dallas, Texas, covering Tennessee baseball at Globe Life Field, home of the 2023 Texas Rangers for the Shriners Children's College Showdown. More on that and Tennessee's performance in that showdown in segment number 3. I do want to talk about Tennessee basketball. Tennessee just whipped Vanderbilt on Saturday. Incredible performance for Tennessee. And I'm not trying to act like and trying to make it more than what it is, because Vanderbilt's not a good basketball team. We know that. But Tennessee was leading by, I believe, 31 at halftime. Tennessee goes on to win 88-53. Tennessee shot in the game from the field 47.8%. Tennessee made 14 of 31 three-pointers. That's 45%. That's a really, really good average. And Tennessee was, not challenged an awful lot at the free throw line, but out of 11 attempts, it made 8 free throws. Whereas Vanderbilt shot a measly 33% from the field, 28% from downtown, and were 10 of 20. 10 of 20 from the charity stripe. That is not a winning formula. Tennessee, all 5 starters scored in double figures, led by 14 apiece from Dalton Knecht and Zakai Ziegler. You had 13 from Josiah Jordan-James. You had 12 from Santiago Vescovi, had 11 from Jonas Adu, who had 8 rebounds as well. Josiah Jordan-James, a typical prime Josiah Jordan-James, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists. And he shot the ball more, had 7 field goal attempts, 3 of 5 from downtown. And I like this about Santiago Vescovi as well. Shot the ball more. He had not as much as he used to, don't get me wrong, but he had 6 shot attempts, did Santiago Vescovi. He had 5 from downtown, 4 of 5, where he connected on 4 of 5 3-point shot attempts. But what I like about Tennessee here in this game is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 players played in this basketball game. 13 players, emptied the bench. Look at the minutes over here. I'm looking at the PDF box score right now. Jemiah Mashack, 12 minutes. That was the plus minus. Jemiah Mashack, 16 minutes. Freddie Dillion, 13 minutes. Cade Phillips, 10 minutes. Cam Carr, 13 minutes and 20 seconds. A couple of walk-ons got in there and got 3 or 4 minutes apiece. That's what you like to see, and more so than anything for Dalton Knecht, 22 minutes. He got a little bit of a break. Zakai Ziegler, 24 minutes. Got a little bit of a break. That's what you need this time of the year. And when you're talking about, this little stretch that we've been discussing, this little 6-game stretch in the middle of your conference schedule before things get really amplified, the final 2 weeks of the regular season, these are the type of games that you want to rest your starters when you can. Tennessee did that in the 88-53 win over Vanderbilt. Tennessee will have one more game in this quote-unquote stretch, and that is at Missouri Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And so far, Tennessee is 4-1 during this stretch. The lone loss at College Station, I said one more with Missouri. They're going to go back. They got 2 more, one more week. Tennessee will be looking for revenge against Texas A&M at home next Saturday at 8 o'clock. So one more week of this stretch where, again, you need to stack up wins. So far, 4 wins, 1 loss, or 3 wins, 1 loss. You need to finish 5-1 during the 6-game stretch, because after next week, you are at home against Auburn, on the road at Alabama, on the road at Columbia, South Carolina, and then home against Kentucky to finish off the regular season. A couple of stats that I want to talk about from this basketball game and how impressive Tennessee basketball was in the win over Vanderbilt. Anybody ever text themselves? I often text myself, and just to have notes, if that makes sense. So if I have a note that I don't want to forget, I text my own phone number and it sends it to me. I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but nonetheless, here we are. The starting five in this basketball game was 24 of 40 from the field, 12 of 20 from the three-point line, 22 rebounds, 19 assists, only 2 turnovers, 3 blocks, 5 steals, and nobody played more than 24 minutes. Again, that's what you want in a dominant win like this. Vescovi's 4 threes are the most he's had in SEC play, and the second highest of the year when he had 5 against Kansas. It's good to see because Santiago Vescovi, it feels like, in my opinion, has been hesitant and has not been taking his shots when he needs to. So his 4 3-pointers made, the most that he's had in SEC play, and the second highest of the year, following 5 that he made against Kansas way earlier in the year. And the win against Vanderbilt, also the first time that Santiago Vescovi and Josiah Jordan-James have scored in double figures in the same game since before Christmas. Anybody know that game that both Santiago Vescovi and Josiah Jordan-James scored in double figures before Christmas? Hadn't happened since until Vanderbilt on Saturday. But do you know what game that was? It was Tarleton State. Tarleton State, the whatever they're called. And that was a long time ago, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. So, again, good to see. Also, before the game on Saturday, the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee went out and they released their top 16 overall seeds. Tennessee was the number 6 overall seed behind Purdue, UConn, Houston, and Arizona, and I believe UNC. Yeah, so Tennessee was the 6th overall seed and was poised to be the 2nd seed in the Midwest region. That Midwest region, the first seed is Purdue. Tennessee would be the 2. Baylor would be the 3. And San Diego State would be the 4. So, again, you still got a little over a month of the regular season remaining. You still have the conference championship tournament. And, of course, we know that the selection committee does not value that because Tennessee won the tournament and didn't come off the 3 line a couple years ago. Or 2 line, whatever it was. But there's more basketball to be played. But at current standing, the NCAA Tournament Committee that makes and seeds all these teams for Selection Sunday views Tennessee as a 2 seed. And of course, the loss at Texas A&M last weekend it kind of hurts Tennessee a little bit. Maybe Tennessee could have been a 1 seed without that hiccup, but that's college basketball. Important thing right now is that Tennessee is considered a 2 seed in the eyes of the people who make Selection Sunday what it is, the 6th overall seed, and a couple of wins again on the road in Tuscaloosa, at home against Auburn, payback at South Carolina, and then, of course, sweeping Kentucky. That would do wonders for trying to get to a number 1 overall seed. But I'll continue to say, if you're a 2 seed and you play in the East region, that might be better than being a 1 seed in the Midwest or a 1 seed in the West. If you're a 2 in the East or a 2 in, say, the South, I think that poises better for you and your fan base to come and be at these games. So we'll see how Tennessee finishes off the regular season. But hey, when we come back, let's talk a little Tennessee baseball. How did Tennessee baseball perform in the Shriners Children College Baseball Showdown at Globe Life Field over the weekend? That is coming up next as we continue on with Locked On Vols. What to say about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook? Get buckets right now with your first bet over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and a whole lot more. Yes, sure, we're talking NBA here, but as we talked about in segment number 2, college basketball, man, we are nearing the end of the conference slate. Conference tournaments right around the corner. Then it's going to be March Madness, and you can put some coin in your pocket, have some fun, have a rooting interest outside of your team over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot today. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. More to come here as we continue on with the Monday Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue on here. Let's talk a little baseball. I know a lot of the crowd here doesn't like baseball or doesn't want to listen to baseball, but if you're on the fence here and thinking about flipping to another podcast or turning it off here, I encourage you to stick it out a little bit. There have been so many new Tennessee baseball fans over the last couple seasons. And credit Tony Vitello and credit what he's built here with Frank Anderson, with Josh Heupel, with guys behind the scenes like Chad Zerker. It's really fun to watch what's happening right now. And this past weekend was a whole lot of fun as well. I do want to say full disclosure. It's been late nights all here in Dallas. Late night on Friday night, late night on Saturday, and you guys know me. I record the show the day in advance, the night in advance, if you will. But I'm not about to come back here to this Airbnb and record a podcast for Monday morning at like 2 a.m. So I am recording this show before the final game Tennessee takes on Baylor. So I'll be talking about the first two games of the weekend. And if anything huge happens against Baylor, then we can hit on it later on. But it's been fun to watch this program continue to ascend and play in these type of environments. I mean, you guys know me. I cover Tennessee baseball at VolQuest.com. Football's my sport. I played football. Football's my love, but I love baseball. And though it's an expensive hobby, my hobby is to try to go and see every Major League Baseball park. And this weekend makes, I believe, the 17th ballpark I've been to. 16th that's active. And yes, even though I'm not seeing the Rangers play, I'm still counting it because I've been to the stadium and I've covered 3 games here. Incredible venue. Newest ballpark that's been made, but just incredible. Not my favorite ballpark. I mean, those are the likes of the history, the nostalgia, the Fenways, the Wrigleys, the Camdens, but my goodness, what a gorgeous ballpark. Anyway, Tennessee played like a Major League Baseball team at a point in time this weekend. We'll start with Friday. Tennessee got off the weekend with a ranked win over number 21 Texas Tech, and it was the AJ show. You had AJ Russell, who was your Friday night starter, who struck out 10 batters in 4 innings and a third. Now, the theme of opening weekend, those pitch counts were very, you're not going deep into ball games. Around 70s your pitch counts. So starters on both sides for Tennessee and its opponents weren't going much past the 70 if they made it there. So that's why A.J. Russell only pitched 4 1/3. That's why Drew Beam only pitched 4 2 or 5 1/3, I believe, the other day. But we'll get to that in a moment. But A.J. Russell went 4 1/3, gave up 2 runs. And it was runners that he left the game on base. And then A.J. Causey, who I'll talk about in a second, his only mistake was allowing a 2-run double. But it was a 2-run triple, whatever it was. 2 runs credited to A.J. Russell, 4 innings and a third, where he gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. 10 strikeouts for a sophomore, new Friday night starter who logged only 30 innings and a third, primarily in midweek, and then a little bit as the season went on out of the Tennessee bullpen last year. What a performance. A.J. Causey came in behind him, the transfer from Jacksonville State. I had an exclusive with him over at VolQuest.com on Sunday. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. Love my sit-down chat with A.J. Causey. He was really, really good. Talked about when he decided he was going to start throwing sidearm. Talked about why he came to Tennessee. Talked about the A.J. show, and that's what they're calling it, A.J. Russell to A.J. Causey. It worked to perfection on Friday night. Now, baseball, it's not scripted. Football's not scripted, no matter what anybody wants to tell you about the NFL. But it's not always going to go like it did on Friday night. But boy, it was perfect on Friday night. 4 innings and a third, you give the ball to A.J. Causey. He pitched the final 4 innings and 2/3, where he allowed no runs, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts out of the bullpen. And he throws from the side, where he's not overpowering like A.J. Russell was at 97, 98. You got A.J. Causey from the side at 92, 93. And then a slider and a changeup that'll make batters from the right side look silly. The pitching on Friday night was incredible. Tennessee scored 3 runs in the 4th inning, scored 3 runs in the 8th inning. You had a home run from Billy Amick, who drove in 2 runs on the game. That was a really good welcoming party, or coming out party, the new Tennessee Volunteer. Like A.J. Causey, Billy Amick was making his debut. Billy Amick played well from the plate. Christian Moore had 2 hits in that baseball game as well. You had Kavaris Tears, who reached base twice, scored 2 runs, but he had an over 3 day at the plate, and a lot to like about that season opening win for Tennessee on Friday night. Now you shift to Saturday, and Tennessee took its first loss of the season, and it's going to happen. Again, you're not going to go 65-0 or whatever. The sky is not falling after game 2. Sure, it was an extra inning ball game. Sure, Tony Vitello probably left Aaron Combs in a batter too long. Hindsight's 20/20. Sure, Dylan Dowling, there was a play where he was on the run in the gap in left center field. It looked like he got leather on it, but he couldn't make the catch. 2 runs scored. That was the difference maker in the extra innings. There are things you'd like to change if you could go back, but this type of game, really this weekend, but that type of game on Saturday night when Tennessee fell in 10 innings, 5-1 to Oklahoma after ending 9 innings, tied 1-1. That's the type of regional atmosphere that you're going to get. That's the type of regional game where every inch matters. Every pitch matters. Every decision matters. And I feel like even though you lost that game, that can really teach you some lessons as this season goes on. And you would have won. You want to win that game, and I'm sure it hurt for those players Saturday night going back to the hotel. But man, what a big league game. I say that, sure, the offense was quiet, but there was about, and I'm not exaggerating here. I wrote about it over at VolQuest.com. You can go check it out. There were about 6 defensive plays that Tennessee made, and there were a couple from Oklahoma as well. There were about 6 defensive plays that Tennessee made that were Web Gem nominees, SportsCenter Top 10, not even including the triple play. Yes, you're hearing this right. If you haven't seen it yet, Tennessee turned a triple play on Saturday against Oklahoma. Oklahoma had runners at first and second base. Okay, at first and second base, Chris Stamos, a new transfer as well from Cal, comes in, and there's a little tiny bloop off the bat just in front of home plate, between home plate and the pitcher's mound, like that distance, but it was towards the third base line. Stamos dives, makes the catch, throws back to second base because the runners took off, forced out at second. The runner that was at first base was standing at second base. Christian Moore tagged him. Triple play. Goes down as a 1-6 triple play. First triple play in Tennessee history since 1997. Incredible. But I'm not even talking about just the triple play. Hunter Rensley made 2 over-the-shoulder catches in center field running to the warning track. Billy Amick, a sharp ground ball hit on the third base line, ranging to his right, fields it, throws off balance to first base, third out of the inning. Christian Moore, charging, slow ground ball at shortstop, flick of the wrist, throws it to first base, he's out. Dylan Dowling made a diving catch in left field. I mean, 2 plays at the plate from Blake Burke throwing home to Cal Stark, 1 to Cal Stark, 1 to Charlie Taylor, and the tag to get a would-be run off the board. Tennessee played like big leaguers in a big league park defensively on Saturday night against Oklahoma. It's just the offense struggled a little bit. Tennessee finished with 7 hits in the game, 2 hits from Hunter Rensley, 2 hits from Christian Moore, 2 hits from Dylan Dowling. Dylan Dowling homered in the game, was responsible for Tennessee's lone run through at 1-1 as they headed to the 10th. But the offense left 10 on bases. Left 10 on the base pass. Loaded the bases with 1 out and couldn't get anybody in the 4th inning. It's baseball. It happens, but you don't want that to be a habit. And Drew Beam, he was okay. He was not the best. He was not QB1 Drew Beam, but through 5 innings and 2/3, he allowed 7 hits, only 1 run, but only one of the 7 hits that Drew Beam allowed went for extra bases. Now, again, Web Gem plays behind him a couple of times, probably saved extra bases, but at the end of the day, 7 hits, only 1 of those went for extra bases. Only 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 78 pitches. Drew Beam was okay. He certainly wasn't great the other night, but at the end of the day, that's what you'll take. I mean, he's got to get the strikeout pitch going a little bit more. It was start number 1. If that is what his line looks like and he wasn't pitching anywhere near his best, sign me up for that every single day. So anyway, the time of this recording, Tennessee wins a ranked game on Friday night against Texas Tech and then loses in extra innings to a solid Oklahoma team. Tennessee's getting a lot out of this weekend. I fully expect Tennessee to handle business, take care of Baylor in the nightcap on Sunday, and come back for the home opener on Tuesday with a 2-1 record, and to start that little stretch towards conference play there for a whole lot of games at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So it's been a fun weekend. I think Tennessee baseball has gotten a lot out of this weekend, and I love to see how the pieces will kind of assemble pitching, lineup-wise, because this is, once again, it is a deep ball club for Tony Vitello as he tries to go back to Omaha. If that happens this year, it would be the third time in 4 seasons. Tennessee baseball's good, man, and it was good this weekend. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for being here and making us part of your morning commute. Everydayers could not do this show without you. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'll probably have a guest on to help me out a little bit on the day of travel. We'll be back in Knoxville and continue to tell you everything you need to know about Tennessee football, the NCAA investigation, Tennessee basketball, baseball, and more as we continue on with Locked On Vols. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.